Having driven for Ferrari alongside the great Michael Schumacher, Eddie Irvine had high expectations going from a backmarker driver to a championship contender in the world of Formula One. His first opportunity in red came in 1996, which is considered to be a sloppy year for him to say the least, with 11 DNFs following that. The following year in 97, he somewhat improved, but it still wasn't all that great as far as the championship goes. He did score 5 podiums, so we can give him credit on that. In 1998, he led just 1 lap all throughout the year, which took place in the French Grand Prix. As far as the podium finishes are concerned, he would capture 8 of those. Season 98, therefore, was considered as Irvine's best year despite not winning a Grand Prix throughout his entire career up to this point, heading into the 1999 season. With the production of the Ferrari F399 for that season, given its valid results in speed and aerodynamic factors, the car was set to tackle the McLarens, which that team won the 1998 championship in both constructors and drivers. Most of the courtesy to Mika Häkkinen, who was keen to do it all again in '99. Ferrari's Michael Schumacher was the only driver who kept pace with Häkkinen during that season, but unfortunately, he couldn't seal the deal when it came crunch time. For Irvine, this was his last chance. His last drive at Ferrari before the team drops him out when 1999 comes to a close. He had it coming considering lack of consistency and not scoring a win, but that was about to change. Race 1 in Melbourne, and Irvine shocks the world as he finally comes through to win his first ever Formula One Grand Prix in his career, thanks to Mika Häkkinen and Michael Schumacher running into problems. Race 2 in Brazil, Mika Häkkinen makes amends from his throttle failure in Australia to flat out dominate the Brazilian Grand Prix from pole position and score the win. Eddie Irvine couldn't keep pace with the McLaren, finishing a lap down in the 5th position. In the next race in Imola, Häkkinen took pole, setting the tone to book in another walkaway victory. At least that's how things were at first.
Oh, off goes Mika Häkkinen! Off goes Mika Häkkinen out of the race! Mika Häkkinen, the race leader, loses the McLaren and slam bang into the wall. He was going too fast.
With Häkkinen's slip-up, it opened the door for the Ferraris. Irvine would unfortunately join Häkkinen on the sidelines following an engine failure late in the going. For his teammate, Michael Schumacher held firm, keeping David Coulthard at bay to nab win number 1 in 1999, and the second at the Imola circuit, dedicating the victory to the late Ayrton Senna and the Tifosi. In Monaco, the Ferraris couldn't be touched. Schumacher scores back-to-back wins, and Eddie Irvine finishes in second, making it a Ferrari 1-2. Afterwards, Schumacher increased his lead in the championship over his teammate by 8 points. Mika Häkkinen, who finished third in the race, wasn't that far behind. Following the Spanish Grand Prix, Häkkinen pulled off a walkaway win, passing Irvine in the standings, trailing behind Schumi by 6 points. At the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the running of the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal, Eddie Irvine stayed out of trouble while setting the fastest lap of the race, finishing inside the podium in P3. His teammate, that of Michael Schumacher, well, just like Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve, Schumacher crashed into the Quebec wall, coming off the final corner. Hence the name, the Wall of Champions. As for the driver who won, It was Mika Häkkinen, who now takes the lead in the championship table by a margin of 4 points over Michael Schumacher, and 9 points ahead of the main protagonist in this video, that of Eddie Irvine. Having started the French Grand Prix way down the order in 17th, Irvine had to cope with not only immense pressure, but also showers of rain. Even so, he wheeled his way into the top 6, scoring just 1 point. And with Mika Häkkinen finishing inside the podium, the gap in the standings slightly increased, to which now Irvine is 14 points behind the Finn. Then in Silverstone, things took a turn for the worse, when Michael Schumacher locked up going into Stowe, went into the gravel pit, creaming into the tire barrier well over 100 miles per hour. The impact was so severe, he broke his leg. At least the good news was that Eddie Irvine scored points for Ferrari, but second place was the best he could do in not only the race itself, but also the championship hunt. Now 8 points back, tied with his teammate. With Michael Schumacher on the sidelines recovering from his injuries, it was up to Irvine now to challenge Häkkinen for the world title for the remainder of the season. He responded with a brilliant performance and a well-deserved victory in the very next race in the Grand Prix of Austria, having to hold off David Coulthard's McLaren in doing so. Because of it, the gap was reduced from 8 points to 2 points. At the Hockenheim ring, Häkkinen fell by the wayside, having a tire blowout, sending the McLaren into a spin and into the tire barriers at almost the same speed Schumacher had at Silverstone. But thankfully, no harm done this time.
Just over halfway through now. It's a blowout on Häkkinen's McLaren at tremendous speed. The Finn can do nothing to slow himself down, and it's a heavy impact. There's concern in the McLaren garage, but Mika's all right, just a little shaken. Unbelievable bad luck and a major blow to his title fight.
This cost the Finnish driver the championship lead, as the Ferraris crossed the finish line 1-2, with Eddie Irvine claiming victory and the point in the standings. Redemption soon played into Häkkinen's hands in Hungary, starting from pole position and blasting away from the field to win. For Irvine, he looked to have second place in the bag, but this mistake cost him 6 additional points, but still managed to finish on the podium in third, behind the McLarens. And he still had the championship lead. But in Spa, this was set to change. Another hat-trick performance from the Silver Arrows, finishing 1-2 in the Grand Prix of Belgium. Eddie Irvine ranked 4th, scoring 3 points, which wasn't enough to keep hold of the lead, as he trails behind Häkkinen once more by just 1 point this time, heading into the next race in Monza. This is where things get interesting.
Oh, and that's Häkkinen spinning! Häkkinen, the race leader! He's out of the race! He's out of the race! Mika Häkkinen retires on lap 30, and Heinz Harald Frentzen leads, and this could blow the World Championship wide open!
That was exactly what Irvine needed, and he delivered with a 6th place effort, nabbing 1 point, now tied with the Finn. Shifting gears to the Nurburgring, where Mika Häkkinen somewhat made a little bit of redemption with a top 5 effort and scoring 2 points in the process. For Eddie Irvine, due to being under pressure once more, he failed to finish inside the points. Next up was the new Sepang International Circuit over in Malaysia for the penultimate round. This was where Michael Schumacher made his return to race, and he took it to another level in his comeback to claim pole position, which was at the time the 22nd of his career. Irvine clocked in the second fastest lap, making it a Ferrari front row lockout. Both drivers ran away from the pack, with the end results being a 1-2 finish. Irvine first, Schumacher second, and Mika Häkkinen third. Shortly after the victory lane celebration, Ferrari was disqualified following their barge board improvements. Further appeal, and the points and race finish for that matter was reinstated. This means that Eddie Irvine still had a shot at a championship. On an even more positive note, he had a 4-point advantage over Mika Häkkinen coming into the last race in Suzuka. On qualifying day, Irvine can only manage 5th quickest. Michael Schumacher on pole and Mika Häkkinen 2nd quickest. Because of this, Irvine's chances at the title were hanging by a thread. When the lights went out, Häkkinen stormed into the lead and didn't dare look back. He played his part, timing the start, being hella consistent all throughout the race, making no mistakes, and that was all he needed to achieve to stay in front to become the Formula One World Champion for the 2nd consecutive year, to which he accomplished just that. For Eddie Irvine, he tried his best in his final race for Ferrari to capture the title, but in the end, it just wasn't meant to be. He finishes 3rd on the podium to score 4 points. The final margin? Häkkinen edges out Irvine by 2 points in the final standings. On the bright side, Ferrari scored enough points to finish ahead of McLaren in the constructors table. As far as the constructors are concerned, 4 points was the gap between the two teams. Ferrari 128 to McLaren's 124. All the same, it was joys all around from the McLaren camp as their driver Mika Häkkinen did it again. Eddie Irvine wouldn't come this close to a championship ever again in F1. His 1999 stats look like this: 4 wins, 9 podium finishes, scoring 74 points in total, 3 front row starts, which none of them were pole positions, 133 laps led, achieving just 1 fastest lap, with an average start of 5.4 and an average finish rate of 3.9, and just 1 DNF. Despite the numbers, Ferrari still let Eddie Irvine go elsewhere for the 2000 season, and he signed on with Jaguar as a result for the remaining 3 years of his Formula One career. Regarding his 1999 season, considering how much he stepped up his game, maybe, just maybe, had he still won the championship somehow in some way, his career at Ferrari could have possibly lasted a little longer. And it makes many wonder, what if his engine didn't expire in Imola? What if he did a little bit better with himself coping with the pressure? What if, in 1999, Eddie Irvine captured his missing ring?